Access to clean water remains a challenge for many South Africans, and today, as we mark World Water Day, we reflect on how to best improve the situation. Leonardo Manus from the Department of Water and Sanitation was on eNCA earlier.
In terms of today, it's not only a celebration, but it's a day of an awareness, as to say that we cannot leave anybody behind as far as access to clean water is concerned. The situation in the Vaal is one of the attempts where the department, together with others, have taken the responsibility, perhaps where things haven't gone as according to plan as it's supposed to be, by those who have to take the responsibility of operations and maintenance of wastewater treatment works, as well as the collector systems that couldn't have done it as it's supposed to be. So there's an intervention underway, assisted also by the South African National Defence Force, to assist to get the pump stations and the collector systems, as well as the wastewater treatment works, up and working again to ensure that the eventual quality in the Vaal River is basically improved. But that is one thing in terms of the side of getting the water in the Vaal River improved, but also to ensure the broader aspect of attention is given to supply potable water that complies with the standards to everybody in South Africa.
Mr. Manus, is there anything for South Africans to worry about where our water is concerned? I ask you, not just in relation to load shedding, but as we've outlined some of the problems that we have.
It's not only South Africa, but I think the whole world need to take a closer look at as how we focus on our water these days, because our fresh water obviously is finite, it's limited. It doesn't mean that there's endless water. There's no such thing as new water, for that matter. So we need to make sure that the water that we have, that we conserve it, we look after it, that we don't waste it, because the water is not going to increase. Population is increasing. Our demands on the water resources are increasing. In terms of the urbanization that we currently see, that a phenomenon that is also worldwide seen, and South Africa is not immune to that either. And that means that there's more people putting more demand on what we have in certain areas that might be constrained already. So as South Africans, we must take a little bit more careful notice of how we care for the water that we have, that it shouldn't be wasted. And where a simple thing that we can start doing is that where we see leakages of clean water in streets and so forth, that we report it. Because sometimes we obviously have to put the responsibility to those water service authorities that must need to fix it. But if they don't know about it, how can they? So perhaps a first point would be to report that, and as well as to take responsibility within our own homes, that we don't waste water.
To your point of us taking responsibility in our own homes, apparently South Africans guzzle up to 235 litres of water per person per day, which is higher than the world average of 185 litres. Are we heeding the call to use water sparingly?
To this point, the records shows to the contrary, that we're not heeding to that call, as you just now said. Perhaps for the one reason that we are also having our big gardens that we need to feed with water, that we don't build those or don't create those water-wise gardens that we should have, and as well as the fact that perhaps the leakages around our homes, that we also need to look at that part as well. And the appliances that we use, and as we become more affluent, that we become actually more dependent on the water, because all of these things, as our dishwashers, our water machine, our washing machines, and all those kind of things, still demands more water supply. So one would actually encourage that we become more water wise, even in buying appliances, and also the settings of these appliances, to see how we can actually set it at levels where it will use less water. Those who become more affluent, as far as having swimming pools are concerned, that the evaporation rates that actually cause swimming pools to be filled up at higher frequency during the summertime that is all causing our water usage to actually go up. So there is a call to use less water, and it will take a culture change and our approach and attitude towards water that definitely still have to change.
Absolutely. Very quickly before we let you go, the theme for World Water Day for 2019 is leaving no one behind. But in South Africa, we do know that a number of people have been left behind who are still unable to access water, who still have to walk for kilometers on end in order to be able to get water. What are we doing as a country where that is concerned?
Well, the United Nations have set that theme for the entire world because sustainable development growth goals has been set there to see by 2030 that we have everybody supplied with water. But in South Africa, obviously, as I previously mentioned, the urbanization phenomenon has seen people moving closer to the town areas, and there's an enlarging of sometimes of even informal settlements. So where we previously recorded a population that were supplied with running water and potable water, in certain areas that have increased over the past few years due to that phenomenon. But the fact remains is that government has set aside funding as far as it's called the Water Services Infrastructure Grant for municipalities because where the revenue doesn't exist within the municipalities means to invest in further development of infrastructure to connect these people. Government has set aside this money through that grant to ensure that the municipalities are assisted to reduce this